In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to use the filter function. So up until now, whenever we wanted to filter something, we would actually highlight all of our data, come up here to this create a filter, and it would throw up these little icons right here, and then we could actually sort. So this really doesn't do much of filtering things out. It actually is more of a sorting tool, and we can sort it by several different things. We're not going to use this. In this video, we're going to show you how to use a filter function. So to do filter function, we're going to say equals filter, open parenthesis, and let's go ahead and look at what this formula is wanting us to do. So the way this formula works is it says we're going to say equals filter, open parenthesis, and then we're going to highlight our range. So our range is all of our data that we are going to be wanting to filter out. And then we are going to filter it out by a specific condition. Like in this particular example, maybe we want A2 through A26 to be greater than 5 or something of that nature. And then we can also put a second condition in as many as we need. So let's go ahead and see how this looks. So first we need to highlight our range. So we say equals filter, and we're going to highlight our range, which is all of our data. We're going to leave out our category names, but we're going to highlight all of our data. Now, with the filter function, you don't need to lock anything in. Yes, that data is never going to change, but we're not going to ever drag this formula anywhere. That would defeat the purpose of what we're trying to do. So because of that, we are just going to, we're never going to need to lock anything in. So the first condition is maybe we want to filter this out by a certain seller. For example, maybe we want to filter this out, or let's go ahead and say we're going to filter this out by lot number. We want to filter it out by the lot number that would be, let's say, greater than 105. We're going to close parentheses. And it's going to bring in the same order that it is up here, every one of these lot numbers that's greater than 105. So we see that 104 has been excluded, 103 has been excluded, we jump straight to 114, 111 is in, 110 is in, 100's out, and so on and so forth. So we can filter this out by a specific number. Now, we're gonna go ahead and do another filter function, and this time we're gonna filter it out by seller, for example. So we're gonna say filter, and we're gonna filter it out. We're gonna filter out all of this range. So we're gonna highlight all of our range, and we're gonna filter it out by the number of sellers. So we're gonna highlight the number of sellers, and we want to bring out let's just say just uno R. So we're gonna type in uno R, close parenthesis, and it throws off an error code. So let's look at this error code. Let's figure it out. It says formula parse error. So let's think about what happened. We are telling this formula, all right, find this range, find this data equal to uno R. Uno R is text. That is a text. Anytime we're dealing with text, it needs to be in parentheses. So if we put it in parentheses, and now we have that text, and I press enter, it's going to sort out just by uno R. What if we wanted to then sort it out by, let's say deuce R. Again, we're just going to change from uno R to deuce R, and we're going to put it in that parenthesis. It's going to change all those to deuce R. Now, we can take this one step further. Maybe I want to know which animals or what lots were sold by deuce R and were bought by buyer number above 1,025. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. We're going to say equals filter. We're going to highlight our range. And we want to do our first condition being let's just do just deuce R. So we're going to highlight the seller column, equals, and now deuce R is a verb, or is a word, so we need to put it in parentheses, deuce R. Our second condition is our buyer number. So we want to know what buyer number was sold, or which of these lots went to buyer number greater than say 125. And I typed that in wrong. You see how it says 105 and all the buyer numbers are above 125, so it works. So if we say 1025, then it will filter out by just those particular, just what will match those conditions. We can actually take this one step further and make a third condition. And our third condition is we're going to say that price had to be greater than 800. And then it's going to filter it out to what will meet those qualifications. Now, let's go ahead and do another one because I want to show you some common things that happen whenever you're doing these filter functions. So we're going to highlight all of our range, and we're going to go ahead and do, we're going to filter out by seller. And we're going to say we want to know which sellers are equal to triple R. Notice I put that in quotations right there. It's throwing off a red underline already, so it's saying something's not right. So let's go ahead and press enter. It says non-applicable. Why? Filter has mismatch range sizes. Expected row count of 13, column count 1. Actual row count 12, column count 1. So what's going on here? Well, it's saying that we expected 13 rows, but it only counted 12. Well, if you notice, I did something. We had 13 rows here in our main data, but then I purposely left off this uno R down here. And if we look at our rows and our columns, we go through row 2 to 14 here and then 2 to 13 there. The number of rows have to match. We have to make sure that the number of rows in our condition, in our first condition or a second condition or any condition, matches the total number of rows of our data. Now we press enter. Now it's going to work, and we only have one from triple R. So let's go ahead and change this to uno R. So we have 4 of them. Now, another common mistake other than mixed masked rows, in case you get into that, is coming right here and starting to type in something. If you type in anything, so what that filter function does is it needs plenty of room to write out and filter out all that information. So if we hover over here, we have this equals reference error, and it says array could not be expanded because it could not overwrite data in E20. So we go to E20, and we've typed something in there, so it can't expand beyond that. So a nice little hint is we can just delete that. If it throws off that reference, it means that there's something in there blocking it from being able to be written out, and you'll have to go in there and manually delete that. So another thing I want to show you is you can actually use this filter function across 2 different sheets. So we've got this filter sheet right here, and here's our original data. We don't really want to do too much on this sheet. We want to kind of leave it the way it is. So maybe we want to do our filtering on this second sheet. So what we can do right here is we can actually, so I've already got the categories copied, and I'm going to type in filter, and I'm going to cell reference across sheets. So I'm going to move from the filter back to this VLOOKUP. I'm going to highlight my data. I'm going to highlight for my condition 1, and I'm going to go ahead and make that equal to deuce R for right now. And then we can get deuce R that comes across. Then what we can do is actually just kind of copy and paste or duplicate this sheet and change a couple things. Now, another thing that if you're going to be making a lot of these sheets, and maybe you want several different sheets, one for triple R, one for deuce R, one for uno R, and you're making a lot of them, there's actually kind of a relatively simple way to go in here and adjust this. So we can actually type in something like uno R right here in this upper right hand corner in A1. And then whenever I'm doing this filter function, instead of typing in uno R right here, I'm going to cell reference this cell A1 and press enter. Now we get uno R. And if I want to, I can type in deuce R right here, and it's going to automatically update. By cell referencing that, I can then type in whatever I need it to be right here in this upper right hand corner, and it automatically adjusts for what I need. And there's our last one. So how does this benefit you? So like I was saying, if you're going to be needing to filter out multiple sheets, we can create one for Uno R. And then what we can do is come right here and duplicate this filter sheet. So I'm just going to click on this little arrow, say duplicate, and in this one, maybe I'm going to name this one Deuce R, and this one, we're going to rename it to be Uno R, and I go into Deuce R, and I can just retype right here, to where we're going to be cell referencing this first cell, to where we only have to type it in right here. It's quick, it's easy, we don't have to really mess with the formula, and we can make as many of these sheets as we need. But essentially that is right there the filter function. Like I was saying, a couple of key things to keep in mind is make sure the number of rows match in your conditions, and make sure that they match with that data. The next major thing is don't try to overwrite data or try to write data where that filter function needs to be writing to. It's another common error. Of course, you can cell reference across sheets, and whenever you are using any kind of text, make sure you always put that in parentheses or in quotations.